Okay, so this finally came in the mail today, which we've been waiting on for some time. This is one of my favorite games that came out during the SNES era, and it's a video I've been wanting to work on. And I actually never had it on the original SNES. I only played remakes on the PlayStation and on the DS. So, finally ordered it for the Super Nintendo. Chrono Trigger. Yes!
What is Chrono Trigger?
So, Chrono Trigger is an old RPG from SNES. I actually just realized when I was looking it up earlier, it's gonna be almost its 20th anniversary from when it came out. Which was not intentional when I said I wanted to do this video. I was just sort of like, oh, hey.
8 years old when this came out, but I wouldn't have known.
Because you were a Sega kid.
Yes.
You poor deprived child.
No, man. Sega, man.
So there's a lot of screwing around I could do here, but I'm gonna just kind of do the fake.
Now this guy, what's his deal? That hair?
It's Goku. That's actually, okay, so Toriyama, the guy that does Dragon Ball and all that stuff, he was the artist for this. So that's why, like, if you look at Portrait, it's red-haired Goku, like, flat out. This is one of the best games on the SNES, but I don't know if it's one that, like, was a universal, you know, oh, if you had an SNES, this was the game that you knew. You know, it's not like a Mario equivalent.
It wasn't my fault, though.
That you weren't Nintendo?
No, because my mom got me one, and then the Duck Hunter was the first game I ever played, and I couldn't stop playing it. And between me and my brother, we ended up fighting over it, and
of course,
she said, that's it, like, that shit's going back. Back to the store, didn't have a console, eventually got a Genesis.
Right. I actually have no memory of, like, when I got what system or when, because I think most of them were bought for Josh's benefit initially, and then I just kind of kept playing them as time went on. I was using them more than he was. Okay, so this was one of the things that was awesome about this game. So if you ever played any, like, old school Final Fantasies, or even recent games too, a lot of them did that random encounter bullshit. The thing where, you know, you're walking around the screen, all of a sudden everything shakes, and now you're in a random endless hallway fighting guys. With this one, exploration and combat are in the same place.
Okay,
I'm waiting for my turn.
Oh,
so it's still turn-based, but it all happens on the same screen.
Okay.
So, like, when you run into an enemy, you know, you pull your weapon out, combat starts, music starts, and then when it's over, you go right back to exploration. And there's no awkward pause in the middle of that, you know? There's like a split second of loading in and out of the fight, but it's not like this thing that just interrupts your day and angers you over time. And instead of them all being random, all the encounters are intentional. You know, some of them are unavoidable, like this one, but there's others where it's like, yeah, there's a guard, just don't get seen by him, or...
So you can't avoid...
I couldn't avoid this one.
But there's some you could.
Yeah. Once again, one of the things this game did is that it didn't really hold your hand too much with where you need to go. There are definitely some linear parts the farther you get, but early on it kind of just throws you places and forces you to explore and talk to people and figure out where you're supposed to go. Something that a lot of more recent games don't do anymore. Some of them hold your hand to, you know, oh, go here, follow this objective point. You know, and these ones you could look up a guide to know where to go, but most of the time you'd end up talking to everyone in town to get an idea of where you're supposed to go. One of the things that makes this game great too, it's not just like what I was saying earlier with, it did certain things differently that just really meshed well, but it's also one of those situations where it kind of just hit all the right points simultaneously. You know, it's sort of, the music was good, the visuals were good, the plot's great, it's got this great mixture of sort of being, you know, very kid-friendly, but then these random, really solemn kind of adult moments. That's well done. So yeah, just for its time and just kind of what it all hit simultaneously, it's a classic. I mean, it's kind of crazy when you think about it because this game has been remade twice now. You can get it on the PlayStation and you can grab it on DS. And even with those remakes existing, that doesn't affect the fact that the original's out there and people want to get that original and pay more for it. You know, there's a lot of, if you hunt for like old SNES games, you can find a lot for, you know, 30 to 60 bucks depending on what they are. This one, you know, looking on Amazon.
Like 100 bucks, right?
120. Jeez. Yeah, and that's for just the cartridge. That's not getting a box, a manual, nothing.
Oh, so you're not like, what if you found one pristine, like?
Like sealed still?
Did those?
Those were going for like $1,000, I think.
Jeez.
Yeah, if you can find a pristine one still. So yeah, we had fun hunting this down.
For which you are.
Yes. Segways. Right. So yeah, the reason why we decided to hunt this down is, like I was saying earlier, this is one of my top 3 favorite games of all time, and the style of video I really want to start getting into is talk about, you know, like retro classics, games that, like, you know, from your childhood were awesome. But the point is to kind of re-examine them and see if, you know, going back today, if they're still great. Because some games just don't age well. Something that, you know, they might have done something cool back when they came out, but now it's just been done to death in later games. You know, or you just played it as a kid and never realized, oh, this is actually kind of bad. So
Or for me, I've never seen it actually.
Yeah. Well, and that's actually, I want to do later ones where, it's a game I've never played, just so there's that pure, no nostalgia going on. But because this one was just such a huge classic for me, and I just know it so well, and I really do argue that I think this game holds its age really well compared to a lot of other games.
Yeah.
So I want to start with this because it's just, one of my favorites, and then go from there. So yeah, that's just a little sneak peek at us playing Chrono Trigger and me explaining to John why it's awesome. I'm gonna do a more full video where I actually kind of do the in-depth of how everything's aged, what about it is so great and why it still works today. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet so you don't miss out on that. And thumbs up as well.